I made a mistake picking my husband. It's disgusting. What do I do? I once had a vibrant life, a kaleidoscope of career triumphs, social whirlwinds, and personal fulfillment that painted every day with hues of success and joy. As a healthcare executive, my days were filled with the hum of productivity and the satisfaction of achievements. I owned a beautiful home, a haven of tranquility and elegance where the walls whispered tales of laughter-filled evenings and sophisticated gatherings. My social life was a tapestry woven with the threads of travel, friendship, and exhilarating adventures. I was the quintessential modern woman thriving in my career, surrounded by a rich network of friends, and basking in the glow of a life well lived. Everything seemed perfect, a symphony of harmony and fulfillment. Then came James. His entrance into my world was like a meteor streaking across a clear night sky, dazzling and impossible to ignore. We met at a friend's party, a casual evening that would become a turning point in my life. James exuded an irresistible charm. He had a way of making every person feel special, his eyes lighting up with genuine interest as he spoke. His laughter was contagious, his presence magnetic. I was instantly captivated, swept off my feet by his attention and charisma. Our connection felt electric, almost too good to be true. That night, as we danced and talked, it felt like destiny had intervened. James became the center of my universe, a bright star around which my world began to revolve. In those early days, our relationship was everything I had ever dreamed of and more. James was attentive, loving, and seemed to understand me in ways no one else ever had. Every moment with him was magical, from late-night conversations about our dreams to spontaneous weekend getaways that felt like fairy tales. He had a way of making the ordinary extraordinary. A simple dinner became a romantic feast, a walk in the park turned into an adventure. I was enthralled, intoxicated by the intensity of our connection. We were inseparable, and I found myself falling deeply, irreversibly in love with the man who had swept into my life like a whirlwind. But as our relationship deepened, subtle cracks began to appear in the facade. James's playful jealousy, which I had initially found flattering, began to cast a shadow over our happiness. He grew increasingly uneasy with my male colleagues, his questions about my day starting to feel more like interrogations. Who did you have lunch with? Why did you take so long to come home? His possessiveness, once masked as affection, began to feel suffocating. Yet, I brushed aside my growing unease, telling myself that his behavior was a sign of his deep love for me. I was too enamored to see the warning signs clearly. When James proposed, I said yes without hesitation. Despite the nagging doubts that occasionally surfaced, I was caught up in the romance of it all. Our wedding was a beautiful affair, a celebration filled with love and laughter. I believed we were embarking on a journey that would only strengthen our bond. In the beginning, marriage seemed to bring us even closer. We were a team, facing the world together. I felt secure, convinced that our love would conquer any obstacle. Our days were filled with moments of joy and connection, and I reveled in the new life we were building together. However, it wasn't long before the idyllic veneer began to crack. James lost his job, and his behavior started to change dramatically. He became increasingly paranoid, convinced that the world was conspiring against him. His suspicion extended to me, and our home became a battleground of accusations and mistrust. The loving man I had married was disappearing, replaced by someone I barely recognized. His jealousy grew into full-blown paranoia. He would accuse me of infidelity based on the most innocent interactions, interpreting every glance or smile as evidence of betrayal. I found myself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to appease him, to prove my loyalty. James's controlling behavior escalated. He began dictating how I should dress, insisting on clothes that didn't draw attention. My once vibrant social life dwindled as he forbade me from seeing my friends. He monitored my phone calls, emails, and social media, turning our home into a surveillance state. The walls of what had once been a haven now felt like a prison, closing in on me. The joy and freedom I had once taken for granted were slipping away, replaced by a sense of dread and isolation. My world, once so full of light and color, was darkening. My career, which had been my pride and joy, suffered immensely. James's unfounded suspicions and constant demands forced me to quit several jobs. Opportunities I had worked so hard for slipped through my fingers, as I tried to navigate the chaos that had become my life. The woman who had once been at the top of her game was now a shadow of her former self, struggling to hold on to any semblance of normalcy. Our financial situation grew dire as James, refusing to seek employment, squandered our savings on impulsive purchases and unnecessary expenses. His erratic decisions forced us to move repeatedly, each time further isolating me from any support network I might have had. The breaking point came when I discovered I was pregnant. The news should have been a source of joy, a celebration of new life. Instead, it filled me with a deep, paralyzing fear. I couldn't bear the thought of bringing a child into the toxic environment that had become our reality. James's behavior continued to deteriorate. His outbursts became more frequent and more violent. A particularly humiliating incident at a local veterans event, where he disrupted the gathering with loud music and revving engines, left me mortified. His disregard for anyone but himself was painfully clear, and I knew that for the sake of my unborn child, I had to find a way out. Desperate and scared, I reached out to my step-sibling in Colorado. They had always been a beacon of support, a steady presence in my life. When they offered me sanctuary, it felt like a lifeline, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Leaving James terrified me. The thought of his reaction if he discovered my plans filled me with dread. But the fear of staying, of raising my child in such a toxic environment, was far greater. I began to plan my escape with meticulous detail, knowing that any misstep could have disastrous consequences. I quietly gathered essential documents, secretly saved money, and prepared to leave without arousing his suspicions. The day finally came. I woke early, my heart pounding in my chest. The house was still, the silence heavy with anticipation. I moved quickly, gathering the last of my things, trying to be as quiet as possible. As I stepped out the door, the weight of my decision hit me. This was it. I was leaving behind the life I had known, the man I had once loved, to protect my future and the future of my child. The journey to the train station felt surreal, a blur of fear and determination. I boarded the train to Colorado with a mixture of trepidation and relief, each mile putting more distance between me and the nightmare I was escaping. Arriving in Colorado, I was greeted by my step-sibling with open arms. Their home became a sanctuary, a place where I could finally breathe, where I could start to heal. The contrast between my new surroundings and the life I had left behind was stark. Here, there was peace, a sense of safety that I hadn't felt in a long time. Starting anew was daunting. The trauma from my time with James had left deep scars, and I knew that healing would take time. I sought therapy to help process everything I had been through and to work towards rebuilding my independence. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope. As the months passed, I began to reclaim the pieces of myself that had been lost. I reconnected with old friends, started to rebuild my career, and focused on creating a stable, loving environment for my child. The journey wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of the past felt overwhelming, when the fear and doubt threatened to consume me. But each step forward, each small victory, felt like a triumph. I was determined to build a life marked by safety, stability, and happiness, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had once defined my existence with James. In Colorado, I found not just refuge but a path to reclaim my strength and agency. I began to reconnect with friends and slowly started to rebuild my career, piece by piece. The road wasn't easy, but each step forward felt like a victory. I was determined to provide a loving and secure environment for my child, one far removed from the shadows of my past. The process of healing was slow, but it was happening. I started to see glimpses of the woman I had been before James, the strong, independent, and joyful person who had once been so full of life. It was as if I was reclaiming my identity, piece by piece, and with each piece, I grew stronger. As I settled into my new life, I marveled at the simple joys that had once seemed out of reach. A walk in the park with my step-sibling, a quiet evening reading a book, the laughter of reconnecting with old friends, all of these moments became treasures. I began to appreciate the small things, the moments of peace and contentment that had been absent for so long. I found solace in the beauty of my surroundings, in the mountains and open skies of Colorado that seemed to stretch endlessly. There was a sense of freedom here that I had almost forgotten, a reminder of what it felt like to be truly alive. The arrival of my child was a transformative experience. Holding my baby for the first time, I felt a rush of emotions: love, protectiveness, hope. This tiny life represented everything I had fought for, every painful step I had taken to ensure a better future. The bond I felt with my child was unlike anything I had ever known, a powerful connection that reaffirmed my decision to leave James. As I looked into those innocent eyes, I knew that I had made the right choice. I was determined to provide a life filled with love, security, and happiness, to break the cycle of fear and control that had once bound me. Raising my child as a single mother was challenging, but it also brought me immense joy. Each milestone, each new discovery was a testament to our resilience, to the strength that had carried us through. I embraced the role with a fierce determination, drawing on the support of my step-sibling and friends who had become my extended family. Together, we created a loving and nurturing environment, a safe haven where my child could thrive. The journey was far from easy, but it was filled with moments of pure, unfiltered happiness. Reflecting on my journey, I am filled with a profound sense of gratitude. I am grateful for the support of my step-sibling, for the strength I found within myself, and for the chance to start over. Life is not without its challenges, but I face them with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. I am rebuilding a life grounded in respect and love, far removed from the shadows of my past. I am not just surviving, I am thriving, and I am creating a future that is filled with hope and possibility. The woman I was before James is still here, stronger and more resilient than ever, ready to embrace whatever comes next with open arms. Today, as I look back on my journey, I see a story of transformation, of resilience and rebirth. I see a woman who refused to be defined by her past, who fought for her freedom and the future of her child. My life, once a symphony of success and joy, had been marred by darkness, but it had also been illuminated by courage and determination. The scars of my past remain, but they are a testament to my strength, a reminder of the battles I have fought and won. I am rebuilding my life on my own terms, crafting a future filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. James, the man who once held me captive with his charm and later with his control, is a chapter one have closed. I have found peace in the knowledge that I made the right choice, that I protected my child and myself from a life of fear and manipulation. I have reclaimed my identity, my independence, and my joy. The future is a blank canvas, and I am ready to paint it with the vibrant colors of my dreams and aspirations. I am not just a survivor, I am a warrior, and I am ready to embrace whatever comes next with courage and grace.